Hi, you've clicked on to today's tropical tidbit for Sunday over here in the Atlantic. Still watching the area of activity over here in the southwest Atlantic Basin, western Caribbean, southern Gulf of Mexico over here. Area of broad showers and thunderstorms over this area, starting to move into the Yucatan, associated with a tropical wave that is already over the Yucatan, getting ready to move out into the Bay of Campeche. You can see a little bit of a competing circulation still here, hugging the Mexican coastline near Guatemala and El Salvador. This is slowly but steadily weakening, and this area to the north on the Atlantic side is going to be slowly becoming more dominant as it moves west-northwest here over the next couple of days. Right now, the NHC has mentioned it in its tropical weather outlook as having a 20% chance of development within the next 48 hours. It won't be able to do a whole lot during that time because it'll be over land interacting with the Yucatan, but after that time period, those chances may increase a little bit as it's going to get some time over water. If we zoom in on this, we can see the convergent zone here as the easterly trade winds are coming in, and we're getting southwest monsoonal winds coming in on the left here. So this is starting to get a little bit more defined in terms of convergence. We're getting a little bit more low to mid-level vorticity in this area right here. Still not really well defined. We're not getting a circulation to form yet at the surface, but as this comes across and this feature down here weakens, we may see this try to consolidate a little bit more once it gets into this area. And you can see where the trade wind flow is. If we've got the system already up in here, you can see that it avoided Honduras. It's not inland. And if it's up here, you can see following the trade wind flow, it's going to go up in here. And this is the idea that I've been preaching for the last couple of days, is that the models shifted too far south with this, that it's not going to stay inland over here near the southern coast of the Bay of Campeche, but rather it's going to come in here, it's going to get some time over water, and then come in near the Tampico area along the central Mexican coastline. Can't pinpoint exact landfall locations until we actually have a center that tries to develop with this, if we do get a center, but that general idea, central Mexican coastline, it's going to get some time over the Bay of Campeche, and it's not going to stay inland down here. So that's the idea, that it still has a low chance, it still has a shot at trying to develop. And if we look over here at the European 0Z from last night, look at this, a 1003 millibar low coming into the Tampico area on day 4, 96 hours out. And this is the only model out of the global models that agrees with my idea here, that this is going to come a little bit farther north and move into the Tampico area and have a chance to develop. And if there is one model that I would like to have on my side of a forecast, it would be the European. So this increases my confidence a little bit. And I think that this is going to end up coming farther north, like the European shows here. And this is definitely a tropical depression, if not a minimal tropical storm on the model, right before landfall here, showing that it is going to be an environment where it can intensify. And the reason it's going to be an environment where it can intensify is because the upper level pattern is going to be evolving over it. Right now, it's not that great. We've had a trailing upper trough here over the Gulf of Mexico, and so upper level winds over this area are not so great. Wind shear is moderate, and although it's still mainly in the structure of a tropical wave, it's not being severely affected by the wind shear. It's more of land interaction that's keeping it down right now. But once it gets over the Bay of Campeche, we will want to see this wind shear weaken, and we'll want to see this area of dry air go away to the northwest over here. And what you can see is there's a trailing trough in here. There's a long wave trough coming across the eastern United States. And what's going to happen is, as this trough moves eastward, it's going to pick this up and take it with it. But a piece of it is going to break off and back off to the southwest here. It's a trough split is what it is, and the tail end's going to break off and back southwest towards southern Texas and northern Mexico. At the same time, we have an upper low right over here that's going to be hanging out over here in the central to eastern Caribbean. And what's going to happen is, once this long wave trough moves off to the east, this ridge and all the heat that's sitting down here with the monsoonal circulation is going to start building up here towards the Bay of Campeche. And what we're going to be left with is a ridge here between an upper low to its east and a weak upper low to its west that is dissipating and backing away, which is a great setup to ventilate this area right in here in the southern Gulf of Mexico, and will yield very favorable upper level conditions for development. And if we look at the GFS, you can see that by day 3 over here we have a weak upper trough that was backing southwest and is moving off this way, ventilating this area, which has a nice upper ridge sitting over it, fairly symmetric, and then this upper low back here in the Caribbean providing the outflow channel on the eastern side down towards the equator. So this environment is going to be very conducive in the upper levels for some kind of development, which means that if this gets across and it gets into this area and starts to consolidate with this area dissipating, it may have a chance at trying to develop into Tropical Depression 1 before making landfall. It won't have that much time over water, but it will be able to try. So we'll have to watch it closely if it tries to organize over water over here. So we will continue to watch this system. Heavy rainfall will be the main issue with this over Central America and perhaps over Mexico if it makes landfall there. We could hope for a couple of rain bands to make it into extreme South Texas. That's going to be asking for a lot given that the ridge is sitting up here and keeping this pretty far south. But we will be watching this to be our first tropical depression possibly. It's got a low chance, but it's still got a chance as it comes across the water here over the next few days. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.